Hey everybody, we are talking about Game of Thrones creator George R.R. Martin finally comments on the Lord of the Rings of Power, and his definitive statement is, it's kind of a weird deal.
No, it's kind of weird, George. You need to get your butt back in there and keep writing.
Yeah,
Finish
finish
those
the
darn
story,
stories.
George.
Finish the stories before you die, dude. Come on, let's go.
I honestly, I'm just surprised he's still alive because given his age and his weight, I'm just being real. Like, the guy's an old man. He's very heavy. You
He's
know,
got no pressure, bro. He's just chilling in his house all the time.
that's
He
probably
can
why.
live forever with no stress.
I guess you're right.
Guy's got no stress. He's got all the money he needs after what HBO did. So
Yeah, you know what's funny? So he still hasn't finished this Game of Thrones story, right?
no, it's not done.
So
It's not
so the
done.
ending that they wrote to Game of Thrones has
Is
nothing to
not.
do with his ending.
No, I guess he technically told them what the ending was going to be. So I guess that's supposed to be what the ending's supposed to be, but it's not written down. So I mean, I don't believe it till it's actually written.
Yeah, you know what's funny is if he was a Chad, he would he would look at the criticism that the ending got, because that whole series is really good up until like the last like 4 episodes. I told my wife the other day, she was like, "Oh, we should revisit Lord of the Ring. I'm sorry, Game of Thrones. Now that we can watch it we can binge watch it. Before we were watching it every week." And I was like, "Absolutely, I'm totally down to watch Game of Thrones with you, but I will not watch the last 3 episodes, because if I avoid the last 3 episodes and I just imagine what happens, the series is great." So he should take that into consideration. Take the criticism into consideration when he finishes the book, and completely change the ending and just say, "Screw off, HBO."
Would. That's exactly what I would do. I mean, it just shouldn't end that way, but whatever, man. I'm not because I'm aware of how it ended. I don't want to watch the whole series at all anyways.
Yeah, I mean, but the whole series is good up until the last half of the last season.
Yeah.
They just ruin it. A lot of really
So
cool visual stuff. Anyways, let's talk about this.
yeah, let's talk about what George said. So the Rings of Power, I think it's funny, his comment here, it's kind of a weird deal. So apparently he was speaking with the attendees of the 43rd annual TusCon, at the Radisson Hotel Tucson Airport in Tucson, Arizona. Martin, who spoke with the Independent at the Santa Fe Literary Festival in New Mexico back in May, specifically pointed to the fact that Amazon Studios did not purchase or acquire the rights of any of the main Tolkien works on the Second Age, despite setting the Lord of the Rings of Power in the Second Age. Martin said Amazon bought Tolkien, but they didn't actually get any of the books. They didn't get the Lord of the Rings. They didn't get the Hobbit. They didn't even get the Silmarillion. It's a terrible one. I don't even know if they got Farmer Giles of Ham or Leaf by Niggle, but they got the appendices, I guess. And so they are constructing a Second Age story about that. There's a lot of myth about that, so it will be interesting to see what they did. But what's interesting about this is that's not true. So apparently,
I was gonna say, like, how do you spend $500 billion and only get like the table of contents?
right. Well, yeah. Well, Martin's assertion that Amazon's deal is strange definitely rings true. He does seem to be misinformed about what Amazon actually has the rights to for the Rings of Power show. The Rings of Power showrunners, J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, explained to Vanity Fair that they actually do have the rights to the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit. However, they do not have any of the books that primarily focus on the Second Age, such as the Silmarillion and the history of Middle Earth. So let me ask you this question. Why the hell are you doing a movie about that when you have access to all this other material?
Right.
Why are you doing a TV show about the Rings of Power and that nobody's aware of, if you actually can make stuff in and around these books that we know so well?
Yeah, for a second there, I was like, oh, now it makes sense that they're doing like this random story because they have to, like,
Right.
for whatever reason, they made a bad deal and they got to like fit themselves in what they own. But what you're telling me is they actually own all the good stuff, and instead they choose to make a story a roundabout about the stuff they don't own. What?
Dude, it's crazy. I mean, George Martin probably said what he said because he's thinking, this is the only way this makes sense. They must be making this because they don't own anything. You know, the fact that they do and they don't do something like in between the time frame, like say in between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, they could do a whole thing right there. Like they could do Sauron's actual rise of power before The Lord of the Rings. They could have totally done that.
Yeah.
I mean, there is an interesting story there about the men and the battles and the stuff going on, but it's not what people know. They could have actually just fit right in between and created a series, and it would have probably been a whole lot better.
Yeah, that is weird. You're right. So that, you know what, I was giving George R.R. Martin a hard time. I think you're right. I think he's looking at it and he goes, oh, well, they only own the table of context or whatever it is, he said.
Yeah, right.
No, but they own the good stuff and they're choosing to fit it into the area of stuff that they barely have anything to do with, which is beyond weird to me. And it costs them $500 billion. Like, bro, this Rings of Power might legitimately be the worst business decision made when it comes to an IP.
We're going to find out. Yeah, it really could.
There's no
if it doesn't hit.
Yeah, there's no known actors, no known quantities. They're picking a portion of story, and they're not even making enough. Like, in order to actually explore all this new stuff, you have to make enough TV for it to make sense. But how many episodes is this again? It's like 10 episodes.
I'm not sure, but they've already got at least 2 seasons rocking.
Interesting.
I mean, there is some interesting things about it. So we're getting a young Elrond, and that's a character that it just absolutely love. So getting to see that is not bad. We're getting a younger Galadriel, and that's great. So there are characters in here that are young that are in the Lord of the Rings that we're getting to see as younger characters. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. And the story that we're going to see is outlined in the Lord of the Rings to some degree. So they're not operating based on nothing. It's just they're operating based on a very old tale,
right? That
happened over the course of, years and years and years. So
interesting.
I'm going to have to step out here for a second.
Okay. Another quick note as I wrap up this story. I found it interesting that I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but I'm going to go back here. Dude, this Matt Smith as Prince Damien in the House of the Dragon looks phenomenal. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that in other videos. But man, the House of the Dragon looks fantastic, and specifically Matt Smith as, I think is the Mad King. I don't remember whatever character he's playing. He looks amazing, and I can't wait. And you know what's funny is, like, it's coming out around the same time as like Rings of Power, and it's gonna be in direct competition pretty much with Amazon's Ring of Power. And I don't know which one I want to watch. I want to watch Rings of Power because I want to see if they screw it up or not, because I feel like they're going to. But I want to watch House of Dragon because I want to see those characters, and they're both prequels. They both have very similar taste. So that's about it. On your way to the comment section to let Shane know that you can't believe that he left his chair in the middle of the video, please hit the subscribe button and the like button and all the other buttons, and we'll see you tomorrow.